back to another episode of the Update Live. I'm Noah.
And I'm Aarika.
So today we're joined by our special guest, Kamaal Jhumra. So Kamaal, how did you get into podcasting?
Well, honestly, ever since I started Cast, I was just, something that really captivated my interests was podcasting, and I just wanted to embark on a new creative journey and educate global citizens around the globe through creative means, such as podcasting and having fun, but also bringing some educational value to it.
So you have a similar somewhat goal to what our podcast is doing?
Yeah, I would say so.
Very nice. And so can you tell us a bit about your last episode?
Well, as you can see over here, me and my friends, my colleagues, we debated a flat earther from Quebec. He's prefers to stay anonymous for obvious reasons. And, well, he had very extreme points of views, I could quite say. He wasn't, harmful to a community, but he did have lots of claims with pretty much no evidence towards them. And as the episode went on, it just kept getting crazier. And so, I really think you guys should check it out. It just came out just a day ago, and I think it's our best episode yet.
So if you want to learn a bit more about this new episode by Kamaal, the podcast is called the Nutters Podcast, and it's episode 2. So if you want to go figure out a bit more about that, see how it's going, see what's going on over there, go check it out. So moving on to our side, where we're going to ask you a couple questions. Aarika, would you like to start off?
Yeah. So our first question is, what's a recent global event that's caught your attention and why?
Well, I think that corruption has really caught my attention. And the reason why is because it has just seemed to significantly rise in these past few days. Well, not in the sense that it's risen, but more that we've noticed it. History books, the truth that's been told to us, we've always thought that that's just been the truth. But now, with the great noticing, as they like to call it, we're seeing a lot more corruption in our politics. And it leads us to believe and leads us to doubt any information that's given to us, and if our sources are really trustworthy or if they're just being corrupted by politicians and just being fed fake news to us. And we just don't know anymore. And it seems so prevalent in so many large powers, especially the US and Israel. It's things that did not seem present before, but now it seems like everyone has been noticing it and just how severe it really is.
Interesting view on that. And when you mean politicians and and you're mentioning Israel stuff, are you mentioning AIPAC directly or not?
Well, yeah, I'd say I'm mentioning AIPAC and Benjamin Netanyahu and Donald Trump. I'd say they are pretty big factors for this new rise in corruption.
And me and Aarika talked a bit about that on our first episode of the podcast. So if you want to go check that out, we put up some stats from AIPAC and we talked a bit about U.S. healthcare and aid going to Israel. Moving on to our next question. Do you think the world is becoming more multipolar or the power split more evenly amongst a lot of powers? Or are we still living in a U.S.-led order?
Well, I still believe we're letting in a somewhat U.S.-led order because, well, as you know how the UN works, right? It's not specifically a U.S. power, I'd say. I'd say it's more of the larger powers which have a veto in any votes, as you know, for any UN situation. For example, I forgot when, but some time ago there was a vote held for if food and water was a human right. And every country said yes, except the US and Israel, of course. But it's the fact that the US said no that it vetoed and canceled out every other vote. And so it just seems that the US is ultimately the deciding power here. But it's not, because it's a veto, the US can decide when not to do something, but it can't decide when to do something, because there are other vetoing powers as well. I forgot which countries there were. I think it was France, China,
UK, and
UK.
There's one more forgetting about, but I'm pretty sure there's 5 members on the Security Council, and that's
Yeah.
Russia. And Russia. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
and
other one.
so if any one of them says no, then all other countries' opinions just get eliminated, including the US's and other powerful powers. So, yeah, I'd say that we're still living in that US shadow, and we're not able to grow out of it because they still have that veto power. It's not going away anytime soon.
Yeah, and I'm going to ask a follow-up question on that for you, Kamaal. And now we've seen recently that since Trump's tariffs announced at the start of his term, a lot of trading in Europe especially moved from the US to China. Do you think that now, with Trump's additional tariffs on China currently and crashing the stock market recently, do you think that anyone is going to shift over to being perhaps more in the favor of a Chinese-led world than a US-led world?
I can see the possibility. Yeah, I mean, currently right now, we already get a lot of things from China. I mean, most of the clothes that you're probably wearing is made in China. And that's not going to be limited to just resources soon. Because I think if Trump keeps pushing this tariff agenda, things are going to get more expensive. And for most people in the world, daily inconveniences is what drives them to vote for what they want. And so I think here in this situation, they'll just go for whatever's cheaper and whatever's better, and they won't want to get stuff from America if it's just way more expensive. And America does not necessarily have a great reputation of making amazing products in their homeland. For example, in the food industry, lots of Europe makes fun of a lot of American brands and how unhealthy their foods are, and no one's exactly going out to get more American products. We just want quality products.
Yeah. Aarika?
Yeah. All right. So, what do you make of the latest developments in, let's say, our current region or events, such as the Taiwan Strait tensions, Ukraine war, Israel-Gaza, or climate diplomacy, or any other that you can think of?
Well, I mean, we can talk about Israel-Gaza. I mean, it's just nothing surprising, nothing that we haven't seen before. I mean, ceasefire deal just broke out just yesterday, I think, and Israel already broke it within just a few hours, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, it's just nothing we haven't seen before. It's not surprising. I think it's great that Hamas returned most of the hostages. I think all the hostages, actually.
All
Yeah.
hostages, yeah.
But I'm just not sure what Israel's game plan is here, of why they decided to break the ceasefire again. I mean, we can all speculate, but we can all speculate what their end goal is, right? I've seen horrible videos of this genocide that's happening right now. But it's nothing new, but now Hamas has quite literally nothing to hold over Israel, and I think Israel might just go all the way, and they'll really push forward now that they don't have any hostages to worry about, because they clearly don't care about bombing civilians if they're Hamas civilians. I mean, Palestinian civilians. Sorry.
Yeah. And do you think at all? How do you think about the conflict right now? Not just in Gaza right now at the moment, but also in the West Bank. How the it's okay.
It's fine.
How the Israeli settlers are just trying to take all of the Palestinian West Bank. How do you feel about that?
Well, it's horrible. Again, nothing new. Like, we've seen this before, and these they're colonizers. They're just trying to ethnic cleanse and kick people out of their homes, and it's just a horrible thing that these people are doing, and it's just sad that no one's able to stop them. Mainly because of the U.S., right? Because the U.S. is backing Israel. I think they're a huge part in that issue. And so, you can lead back to your question about the U.S.-led world. The U.S. still dominates a lot of the world, and they're the main issue for a lot of problems, even though they're depicted as heroes in a lot of history. But yeah.
And moving on to our final question with Kamaal here on the podcast. How do you think social media affects how we perceive global conflicts?
Well, as we're noticing now, our media is controlled a lot by the people in power, specifically the Zionists, who can easily influence and control the media, pay influencers to promote the propaganda, even get ads. Just recently I saw an ad promoting Israeli propaganda, and but I think that people nowadays, that we say more what we think, and there's a lot of different point of views now, and not everyone is bought, and so it really allows for a lot of multiple different opinions and sources, and so we're not completely blinded by one particular view, because back then you just get a newspaper, and sure, it maybe had multiple things, but what's the first thing you see? On the front page. That's the first thing you see. But here now, as you're scrolling, you find multiple different influencers giving different opinions about it. And now these different influencers, they're starting to collectively agree upon the ideology, or not the ideology, but of what's happening right now with Israel, and how Zionists are really controlling the media.
And I have one final sub question. What do you make of I'm not sure if you've seen on TikTok, you might have seen how Netanyahu met with all these TikTok influencers from the US. Did you see that? And how he's we need to push Israeli media, we need to push all this. What do you make of that? Or do you think about it the same as what you previously said?
I mean, yeah, again, it's just nothing surprising. He's been doing this before, but I will say I'm kind of shocked how open he is about this. I forgot one of the questions. It was one of the influencers asked, what are you going to do dealing with more anti-Semitic videos out there? And then they said that, and then Netanyahu said that he would take action.
Yeah.
Not sure what that means. I think that means threatening people.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, it's horrible, and it's actually insane that nowadays so many people just feel like they should be able to speak freely for openly horrible opinions, like fascist views. And I mean, I don't know, you saw recently that video in an assembly where they showed Mehdi Hassan versus 20 conservatives.
Yeah.
That's an example. I mean, these people are they should be ashamed to show themselves on camera, but now we're entering a new era of people just being so proud to show these horrible extremist views. And I'm not one against free speech, but it's just the fact how they're not even ashamed of it. They're not even slightly doubting themselves of what consequences might happen. They're just openly showing themselves on social media, and I think we're entering a dangerous new age.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of comical coming from a guy, Benjamin Netanyahu. Sienna's going to put in the clip, I'm going to send it to her, of Benjamin Netanyahu saying, he was on a podcast with the Nelco Boys, it's a very popular podcast in the US, and he's like, why are you regulated? Who regulates you? And I feel like the comical thing about this is, what we're looking at here, what I'm talking to Kamaal and Aarika about here, is the fact that Netanyahu is pretty much blatantly saying, I'm regulating you, and then goes to the podcast and says, why are you regulated?
Yeah, he's the regulator.
He's the regulator. So thank you, Kamaal. Thank you for coming on our podcast. Thank you. It was such a pleasure to have you on.
Make sure to check out Nutter's podcast. And I'll see you soon.
Also, there's the renewed U.S.-China trade tensions during the IMF World Bank meetings. Trump threatened to impose 100% tariffs on Chinese imports, derailing a fragile truce in the U.S.-China trade relations. China retaliated with port fees mirroring the U.S. charges, which complicated the agenda for the IMF and the World Bank gatherings.
So this also, as I talked to before with Kamaal, crashed the stock market because Trump imposed the tariffs.
Yep.
But when you were writing this script, it wasn't imposed yet, but he's imposed them now.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I've lost some money in the stock market. I'm not sure about any of you guys watching. Very unfortunate. This is one of the third times I think the market's crashed under Trump due to his tariffs. Yeah. He loves his tariffs.
And once more with China.
Yeah, and once more on China. Another 100. Was it before 100%? I can't remember.
I swear it was.
It might have been 100% before.
I swear it was like 100%, and then China like retaliated with like an even larger number.
Yeah. I'm not sure. We'll get at the statistics on that.
Yeah.
Moving on. Yeah, so again, so financial stability warnings from G20's watchdogs. So the Financial Stability Board issued a elevated risk for financial market crash, citing overvalued asset price, sovereign debt pressures, and global economic uncertainty. So this is before we knew about the imposed tariffs by Trump. So now we do know that the market did crash, down massive percents. Big shock. That it just came out of the blue again. Trump with his tariffs. Never know what they're going to happen. Never know what he's going to do with them. Trump
really likes his tariffs.
Loves his tariffs.
So there is, in other news, there is a hybrid covert conflict in the Baltic. Some ghost ship threats. So around the Baltic Sea, unregistered and suspicious tankers called ghost ships have been implicated in espionage, sabotage, and interference with undersea infrastructure, such as power cables. And this is in violation of Western sanctions on Russian energy exports. The NATO has launched Operation Baltic Sentry to monitor and guard underwater assets in response to these threats.
So yeah, big news again. So we were actually on our first episode, we were talking about the Baltics and
we were talking about
Estonia.
NATO violations.
In Estonia and Poland and Denmark.
Yeah.
So
and was it Ukraine? I can't remember.
No, it wasn't.
No,
it was Poland. Estonia,
there was Estonia, yeah.
And there was Denmark. So
yes,
again, Russia playing again, and I feel like there's so much other news going on in the world right now that I feel like Russia can just do it, and they're almost getting away with it, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because right now, everyone's just looking at the Middle East, what's happening in the Middle East. If you go on any big news source, you'll probably see like a live update of what's going on in the Middle East. Whereas this is probably just going to slide under the radar because you wouldn't know about it because, well, everyone's focused on the Middle East as people like to have focus on different places.
Yeah.
In other news, Arctic Strategies alignment via U.S.-Finland icebreaker deal. The U.S. and Finland agreed to co-produce 11 new icebreakers, 4 in Finland and 7 in the U.S., part of a push forward to Allied maritime capacity in the Arctic amid Russian and Chinese activity in polar regions. This move reflects a broader shift towards friend sharing in critical infrastructure and defense sectors. So a good sign that the U.S. is making a deal with Finland. Finland, a very nice country.
Yeah.
Making icebreakers to try to see what's going on, try to keep everything under control. But I mean, I'm gonna go back a bit to what we talked about Kamaal. Is the fact that why is U.S. rushing to try to make these new icebreakers when, like, why can't China and Russia have a peace? Like, it's just a question I'm kind of asking myself. Like, because we did ask Kamaal, do you think that we should have a multipolar world or just a U.S.-led one? And he said that it would be good to have a multipolar one. So I'm just wondering if the U.S. they feel like they have a right or they have a need to be that one sole power leading the world, whereas perhaps the world isn't wanting that anymore and they just want a multipolar world with shared power split amongst everyone.
What's your opinion? Would you prefer multipolar?
I think most people would want a multipolar. I think a multipolar is better. There's goods for both things. The tricky thing about Trump and the U.S. right now with the U.S.-led world is Trump is very flighty, and in my personal opinion, so this is nothing to do with the school or nothing like that. In my personal opinion, I'm not sure that Trump is like right now actually physically fit to be a president. I don't think he should be president right now. I think he's not making great decisions for the U.S. Government is still shut down. I don't think I don't think right now it's a good idea for the world to be US led.
US led, yeah.
Yeah.
Right now, a balance. If there's a if it's led by multipolar, like multiple nations, then there's more of a balance, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Then if everything goes wrong with the US, you still have other nations that you can depend on.
Yeah, more like China and Russia Russia right now is also in a bit of deep water because of what they're doing in NATO airspace and NATO land, and also what they're doing in Ukraine.
Yeah.
Still, but China is yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So in other news, there's an open government summit in Spain. It was from October 7th to 9th. Vitoria-Gasteiz, Spain hosted the 2025 Open Government Partnership Global Summit, gathering governments, civil society, and policymakers to review and advance open government response, such as transparency, accountability, and citizen participation.
Yeah, so I feel like it's a good thing that because people do really want to understand what's going on in politics, because there is also still even a lot of secret diplomacy as we see now, and people do like that it's a bit open. So the European Union tries to do that a bit, because when we in year 10 visited in Strasbourg, we went in, and you can go in sometimes during EU summits. Mm-hmm. But I think it's good that Spain's taking an initiative to try to
integrate people into decision-making processes.
Yeah, and I think it's good that people are getting involved and people are taking interest in in politics, to know what's going on in the world, see why stuff is happening, and understand why stuff in the world happens as it happens.
Yeah.
So that brings our episode 3 to a close.
Yeah.
I hope you guys enjoyed a guest speaker. We might have another one on for next podcast.
We'll
I'm not
see.
sure.
We'll do our best to have as many guest speakers on.
Or interesting things or questions that you guys might have going on like that. But yeah, thank you so much for listening.
Yep, thank you.
And we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.